Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Stephanie B. I'm the owner and creator of Career Makeover Academy and the owner of this group, Level Up Your Career. And today we're going to be discussing some questions that were raised by members of the group. The first one that we have today is from Nicole. She wants to know how to handle and or recover when your boss has thrown you under the bus to protect him or herself. And also, once your reputation damaged with your client within the company, how do you pick up the pieces? So let's go ahead and get started. Her boss threw under the bus, and unfortunately, that is horrible because this is he basically sacrificed you in order to protect himself and save face in front of people that he thought mattered. So in this particular case, I do have to tell you that you can't take it personally. As hard as it is to do that, just you can't take it personally. This is a business environment. He is not your friend. He has shown that he's shown his integrity levels or lack thereof, and the only thing that you can do is handle yourself better to take the high road. Do not retaliate, don't play the victim. Again, do not take it personally. You know the kind of person he is, and you know that he doesn't deserve you, honestly. And and another thing that you want to do is you want to learn from the experience, because you now know the kinds of things he's doing, so you can actually put yourself in a position where you can be accountable for yourself and to look at the situation as knowing that you can actually take care of it. So before I continue, I want to say hello. I saw a couple of extra people join in. I was like so rude and all discombobulated because we didn't get a chance to we have some technical issues. So I want to say hi, Jeanette. Hi, Larry. Hi, Rhea. Hi, Lindsay. And I'll continue on with this question, and then we'll get back and I'll give a shout out to you guys to get a little bit more on some of the stuff you've written. All right. So one thing that you need to consider too, when you're in a situation like this where someone has put you in an awkward position, is that guilty people act defensive. So if your boss is throwing you under the bus and then you're going to your client and you're getting defensive and you're like freaking out and you're acting peevish and withdrawn, it basically makes it look as if you've done something wrong. And if you know that you acted well within the scope of what your expectations were for this project, just go into your client, your head held high, perform the same high level, high caliber of work that you have been performing, and don't put yourself into a situation where you are looking less than. You need to go in there and troubleshoot whatever the issue was that your boss was throwing you under the bus about and resolve it as best you can. Let your work speak for itself, right? So another thing that I would like to give you advice on is there's a book called Pitch Anything by a man named Oren Klaff. Klaff. And it is a great book because what it does is it teaches you about framing. So whenever you're in a situation where you're communicating with someone, one person's going to be the dominant person and one person's going to be slightly less dominant. So if you're having an argument about you and your boyfriend are having an argument, you're butting heads, right? You're never going to really see eye to eye until one of you compromises. Well, the person that compromises, depending on the situation, they could be like the less dominant frame. So what you want to be able to do is put yourself into a position where you can swap that easily in a business dynamic, so that your boss is trying to throw you under the bus, and you just smile. And there's certain ways that you can handle it. You can ask them for clarification, but not be defensive. That's the best thing, is to not be defensive. But this particular book will teach you some methods so that you can get into these situations and get yourself out of it, so that you are, you look pretty friggin' amazing, like a powerhouse. So Larry's asking what the name of the book is again, and it's called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. And I'll put that information in the comments when we're done. It's a great book, great book. And it's geared towards people that are selling them, so like sales people or people that pitch things. But you're pitching yourself in the business world all the time, and there's no shame in sales. When you're doing sales, you're providing a service or a product to someone who wants it. You're not like necessarily holding a gun to their head and telling them you have to buy something. People have this negative feeling towards salespeople, but if it wasn't for sales, like, where would you get your groceries? Um, so another thing I would like to suggest, which is probably not something you want to think about, is creating an exit plan. Because if your boss is in the situation of just throwing people under the bus whenever he sees fit, this is going to be a toxic environment for you. And Like I said before, don't retaliate, don't play the victim, don't go in and act, like he's like a demon or anything. Just act normal, act professionally, but prepare yourself and take accountability for your life and realize that if this is not the kind of environment you want to work in, you should be well prepared to find something that is your ideal place. Some ways to prevent being thrown under the bus again, I would say the main thing is document everything. Make sure that you have all of your correspondence, all of your reference materials, everything documented, time and date stamped if you can. And also, I don't know about your situation. A lot of companies will allow you to have, a secondary person on your projects, or you have a whole team, but make sure that you're delegating as much as possible and that you have a centralized document where you are putting a milestones and people are signing off on what they're accountable for. That way you have everything in one spot, you have everything being signed off on by the person who's responsible, and if something is not working or someone's not meeting their deadlines or goals, you have that document there and everybody's aware of it. You, the people under you, your team, I should say, your boss, and the client. um, Another thing too, in that regard, is that if your boss is not really participating in this entire project, that document is going to show that because it's showing everything, that's all of the milestones for this project and everyone who's responsible for it. So if your boss tries to throw you under the bus, he's actually technically the lead, but if you have all this stuff that's being updated constantly and everybody's aware of what's going on, they're not going to take them seriously. And the last thing I want to tell you about is to just make sure that you are like just kind of protecting yourself. Make sure that I forgot what my last point was actually. But I mean, basically, just make sure you're protecting yourself in every possible way to prevent this situation from happening again by having hard, cold, concrete data to back you up, right? Um, so as far as the negative impression that you have with the customers, with your client, I would say that there are really three things that will help you to get past that. And you're probably not going to like this answer, but one of them is time. As time passes and they're seeing you doing this amazing work, they're going to get over it, right? So you're going to be able to reestablish trust. You're going to be able to set up those milestones and manageable goals. You'll be obtaining them, and that way you're showing them this massive improvement, and you're carrying that through the project and your work with them. And that's the second thing. The third thing is showing the people that matter that you have changed, whether it's real change or perceived change. Like if your reputation's actually damaged, unfortunately, that's because people see you as being damaged. Oh, that reminds me. The last thing I want to talk about is establishing relationships. If you want to prevent this from happening again, it also helps with the negative impression. Making sure you have great relationships with your clients. Because if your boss tries to throw you under the bus and your clients know you work your butt off and that you have all your I's dotted and T's crossed, they're not going to listen to him at all whatsoever. They're going to be talking about him and like, oh, that guy's a jerk. I mean, Nicole's been doing an amazing job. Why is he not taking responsibility? And he's going to lose all credence when he tries to pull that crap on you again, if he tries to pull that crap on you again. And one of the final things is, as far as showing people that the important people, that the people that matter, that you've made changes, make sure that you collect all internal and external praise. This is something that's actually really great for when you're doing your annual reviews. You just make sure that if anybody's like, Cole's been doing a great job with this project, really enjoy working with her. She's so friendly and her communication skills are great. I mean, she actually she promised this and she actually gave us the moon. We just love her. Anything that you get that's written, put it into a folder, or in your on your mail, or print it out and put it into a physical folder if you want, and make sure that you have that available. That way, if anything happens and then your boss's boss is like, oh, we think there's a problem, you actually have this. It's like, hey, look, customer loves me. I've been doing a great job. They've been saying this whole time. You have information that says, look, I've here are the milestones. These are the things that were supposed to be done. These are the things that were done. And Rob, my boss, he wasn't really involved in any of this. I'm not sure what's going on. If he has problems, I would love for him to clarify those with me. As far as our communication, we've all been in the loop, and there's obviously been some kind of misunderstanding here. Just take accountability and don't play the victim, and just make sure you have those relationships established. So let's see if there are any questions. or any comments, and then we'll go on. Refreshing my screen because it's being weird sometimes. It's okay. So, oh, I see Larry's been here. So, I think he said he's offended. So, yeah, he said exit plan is a good idea, gives you more confidence. It totally does because you don't feel like you're beholden to them. You feel like you have power. I mean, having that exit plan means that you're working towards a goal, and that goal is yourself. You're not a cog in the wheel. You're taking accountability, and you can draw strength from that. And it's kind of like, no matter what job you're in, honestly, I think it's kind of a good idea to have an exit plan because you never know what's going to happen. Never. I mean, they could have a really bad year revenue wise, and then they decide that they needed to cut staff, and you're gone. It has nothing to do with you or your work record or, your interaction with the group. It has nothing to do with you. It's just you may be a number on a balance sheet, and they're just like, well, we get rid of her and him. We'll be good for this quarter. Okay, so let's pull out the next question. It was also from Nicole, and it was, oh, how do you get around the whole, we're going to check with your previous employer part of the review process?